Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today because we're about to completely dismantle the way most of us think about success. We're constantly sold this idea that massive, sweeping life changes come down to being in the exact right place at the right time or just having some crazy stroke of genetic luck. But as we're going to see today, that's just a myth. The reality? Transforming your life, your skills, or your career is actually driven by a cold, hard, undeniable mathematical formula. If you're tired of just being a spectator to change and actually want to become an active participant, you are in exactly the right place.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the absolute shocker of the math behind it. 37.78. Okay, that isn't just some random statistic. If you take the baseline of who you are today, right now, and you improve by just 1% daily, which mathematically is 1.01 to the power of 365, you don't just get a little bit better over the course of a year. By the end of those 365 days, you literally make yourself 37.78 times better than you are right now. No way, right? It sounds like a pure marketing gimmick, but actually, it's an irrefutable mathematical fact. Compound growth doesn't just apply to your bank account. It applies to your habits, your skills, and your whole life.
But hey, here's where so many of us stumble. We stand at the bottom of our goals, and we just stare up at the whole mountain. It's overwhelming. We want that giant leap, that overnight success. Or we decide, you know what, I'm going to wait for the perfect moment to start. But let's be real, that perfect moment never actually arrives, which practically guarantees failure. The realistic, proven path to success isn't about conquering the entire mountain today. It's focusing completely on taking just the next 1% step. Success is built by following the right rules, just one tiny, manageable choice at a time.
Which brings us to Section 1, Escaping the Comfort Trap, Why Your Brain Lies to You. Honestly, right now, your brain might even be trying to trick you into mindlessly scrolling your phone instead of paying attention to this. I want you to critically reconsider that hesitation for a second. Why do we actually avoid hard things? When you put off that workout, or a really challenging conversation, or that creative project, what is actually happening in your mind? What negative feelings are you truly trying to run away from?
Well, the answer is something called the comfort trap. What often feels like sheer laziness is actually, fear in disguise. We tell ourselves we're just tired, or that the couch is literally calling our name. But the truth is, you aren't actually avoiding the task itself. You are avoiding the feelings that come with it. You're dodging the fear that maybe you aren't talented enough. You're avoiding the doubt, the pressure, and, let's face it, the fear of being seen failing. It's just so much easier to stay safe.
And how does that fear manifest? It almost always shows up as one little word: tomorrow. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, and it feels like a completely rational, logical decision at the time. But make no mistake, tomorrow is a trap disguised as logic. Your comfort zone feels wonderfully nice and warm right now, but it's actually a prison, and it's a prison that you built for yourself. Putting things off just keeps you safely locked inside. To break out of it, we absolutely have to change our approach.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 2, the Kaizen Mindset, the power of continuous improvement.
The beautiful thing about this next concept is that it requires absolutely zero superhero effort on your part. Seriously, you do not need a sudden burst of extreme willpower. The solution lies in Kaizen, a profound Japanese concept that translates roughly to continuous improvement. The core philosophy here is that success is never about making huge, dramatic leaps. Instead, it's the practice of making small, daily improvements to build your skills. Think of it exactly like leveling up your character in a video game. You don't become an absolute pro on day one, you just consistently make micro adjustments, tiny improvements in your skills, and over time, your baseline permanently shifts upward.
I really want you to burn this exact quote into your memory. Ask yourself, what small change can I make today that will get me closer to my goals? If you ask yourself this exact question daily, you shift your entire focus from stressing out over massive, intimidating results to simply securing small wins. And securing those small wins, that builds massive momentum without causing the brutal burnout that comes from trying to sprint a marathon.
Because ultimately, progress beats perfection every single time. Taking flawed, messy action today is always mathematically superior to waiting for some flawless moment that just doesn't exist. The 1% rule demands that you keep moving forward even if it's literally just an inch.
Let's look at how we get moving. Section 3, Rules for Daily Momentum, Lowering the Friction.
So how do we practically do this today? The absolute best way to lower friction is the 2-minute rule.
We all know the hardest part of any task is simply starting it, right? So you game the system. You commit to doing the hard thing for just 120 seconds. You sit down, you start immediately, and you give yourself full permission to quit after 2 minutes. But here is the magic. Committing to just 2 minutes completely destroys that initial wall of mental resistance. It's exactly like jumping into cold water. The anticipation is absolutely terrifying, but once you break the surface and your body adjusts, you usually just kind of keep going.
And there's a second half to this rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, just do it instantly. When you put off tiny tasks, they stack up incredibly fast. It totally drains your mental energy. It feels like carrying a bunch of small pebbles in a backpack. You know, one pebble is nothing, but 100 will literally break your posture. And the stark reality of human behavior is that later almost always becomes never, and never inevitably becomes regret. So clear out those sub-2-minute tasks instantly and keep your mental backpack light.
Let's move deeper into the psychology here. Section 4, Identity and Consistency, Rewiring Who You Are.
And this brilliantly illustrates the deeper psychological shift required to make this change permanent. Look at the difference in mindset here. On the one hand, saying, I need to force myself to work out relies on an absolutely exhausting mindset. You're fighting your own nature. But on the other hand, saying, I am someone who trains their body is entirely different. You aren't just trying to change your habits anymore. You are naturally living out a completely new identity.
But hey, you can't just say the words. You actually have to prove it. Your brain relies on data. It only believes what you show it repeatedly. To wire in this new identity, you need to collect evidence. I highly, highly recommend keeping a hard things journal. Every single time you choose the difficult path over the easy one, write it down. Document the times you push through the friction. You are quite literally collecting undeniable evidence that proves your new identity to your own brain.
Because look, motivation is fleeting. It's a sugar rush. It feels amazing in the moment, but it always crashes. What you actually need is discipline. Discipline, as we define it here, is the anchor. It's the steadfast commitment to showing up every single day and doing the work, especially on the days when you absolutely do not feel like it. Success isn't about doing something incredibly well just once. It's about being disciplined enough to show up consistently.
To maintain that discipline, you must adopt the never miss twice rule. We're human, right? Perfection is basically impossible. Missing one day of your new habit? That is totally fine. Life happens. But your ironclad rule must be to never miss 2 days in a row. This absolutely crucial consistency rule ensures that a single slip-up, just one bad day, never cascades into a permanent failure or a total abandonment of your goals.
Time for the hard part. Section 5, Your Final Wake-Up Call, The Brutal Truth.
We've laid out the math, the mindset, and the tactics. Now, it's time to take a really hard look at the reality of your situation right now. Here is the absolute brutal truth. Nobody is coming to save you. No one is going to magically appear and suddenly make your life better, build your business, or get you in shape. It is 100% on you. The only guaranteed way to stay lost and stuck in your current comfort trap is to just do nothing.
So, let's map out the path forward together. Today is day 1. This is where you step out of the spectator seat, take charge, and start creating that 1% change. By day 180, just half a year from now, those tiny 1% increments will have compounded into undeniable, unstoppable momentum. And by day 365, you've executed the math. You have literally become 37 times better than the person you are right at this exact moment. Contrast the pain of staying in the exact same looping comfort trap for another year with the incredible power of achieving that kind of growth.
I want to leave you with this final provocative question. Who will you be in 365 days? Will you look back and realize this was the moment everything changed? Or will you still be waiting around for that perfect tomorrow? Stop waiting. Start today. Take your very first 2-minute action the moment this explainer ends and start building your 37 times better self. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.